Sage grouse were once a flourishing species here in Alberta. However, due to the rise in oil and gas development and an expanding agricultural presence, their population and habitat have been significantly impacted. The latest census reports only about 60 birds remaining in Alberta.
Sage grouse are a large landscape species. So they love big pieces of intact grassland with sagebrush in it. And essentially, if you put anything in the landscape that's taller than a sagebrush, it's not great for sage grouse. Now, they also use a mating system that is based on auditory cues. And so if you have noise that's emanating from industrial infrastructure, facilities, or traffic, that can also be disruptive of their mating.
There is hope for a brighter future for the sage grouse as barriers to their expansion begin to be dealt with. This includes work on abandoned oil and gas sites.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a long process. So, I mean, prior to us even starting the remediation and reclamation, there's a whole bunch of decommissioning that needs to happen. So we're removing any kind of facilities on site. We're abandoning the well. Then we're moving into making sure all of the, if there is contamination, that it's dealt with. And if through the remediation, and then we have to move into the reclamation side, and then obviously saw some of the seeding that we do, and then we have to wait until everything gets reestablished and making sure that it is actually passing criteria. But it is a multi-year process to get to a site that's finally being signed off, especially in an area like this.
So once the big job of removing all the infrastructure has been completed, the task then falls to replacing topsoil and the all-important sagebrush.
So for the sagebrush here, it's a pretty important factor as we're doing all this reclamation for the sage grouse. We are using these from sites that we're reclaiming. We're salvaging them and hoping to transplant them back into sites that are done after reclamation and remediation. Now with these, there's lots of different things that we take into account and the reason they're doing it. Of course, the actual sage itself, but it also stops wind from eroding our sites after they've been disturbed, as well as they have a great seed bank. They collect seed and moisture as well. So when we go out there, you'll look around these sage plants and you'll see rabbit droppings, all these kind of things, and that's aiding in the recovery of those sites. So these are acting as little habitats, little breaks in these huge open areas, so that also different species or predators can't go after them. So it's breaking up their line of sight on these open leases, and yeah, it's another reason that we go after it. So in these tubs and in these ditches, there's approximately 48 or 14,800 sage. We've salvaged and be transplanting those back onto sites.
We've been very, very impressed with how they've stepped up to the plate and just sort of the approach and the importance that they've put on doing all this reclamation in sage grouse habitat. That I would have to say they've kind of really bought into our vision of this a really important special area to work in, and they've done an excellent job of that. Sure, this is a reclamation site that had all of the industrial infrastructure removed, all the structures. It's undergoing recovery at this time, and so it's been fenced off to promote that recovery. The fence has been done in a wildlife friendly fashion and specific to sage grouse because this is sage grouse habitat. So on the top here you'll see a perch deterrent which keeps raptors from perching and using this as a hunting perch. And then you also see the wire has been done in a wildlife friendly configuration. You've got reflectors on it that prevent collision from species like sage grouse, and then you've also got smooth wire on the top and bottom, and of course the smooth wire on the bottom's up at 18 inches, and so that allows pronghorn deer to go underneath and not get entangled in the fences as well. So this is on the trajectory to recovery. Some of this I never thought I would see occur, actually. We were having small amounts of reclamation occur, but that has greatly accelerated in the last couple of years. And then just the dedication of the people that are doing the work. They're trying new things. On this site, in fact, we've seen sagebrush being seeded into the, or put into the seed mix and seeded back down in the soil, we're seeing the excellent start of that pathway towards full recovery that would make the habitat usable for sage grouse again. So it's really exciting to see some of this stuff come to fruition, and it certainly gives us hope that we're going to be able to keep sage grouse on the landscape, because we do know that industrial activities and structures are one of the many things that can be detrimental to sage grouse. And so without a doubt, we are helping to get the habitat back into shape for these birds to use.
Another step in the reclamation process is the removal of power poles, which provide a perfect perch for birds of prey.
Hawks and owls, great horned owls, are actually what we have found to be our most common predator of adult sage grouse hens. Again, anytime we add structure to the prairie, there are mechanisms at play there, such as increased predation with respect to raptors. There are, changes in the composition of the mammalian predator community that have occurred. We often refer to the situation with sage grouse as a cumulative effects or death by 1,000 cuts kind of situation, because we have all these different things at play. We have less connectivity to populations down in Montana that historically would have been some ebb and flow in periods of high population. We have West Nile virus that came along, and sage grouse were highly susceptible to West Nile.
Given all of that and all the coordination that has to be done, and the effort, the money, all of that, at the end of the day, why go through all of that to save a bird?
Well, sage grouse are a pretty special bird. Anybody who takes a look at some of the footage of them displaying on the leks, they're the largest grouse species in North America. There's definitely aesthetics and inherent value there for that species. But if we look at it a bit broader, sage grouse have often been talked about as an umbrella species. So if we take care of sage grouse, we're probably going to meet the needs of most all of the other wildlife species that are on the prairie landscape. So that in and of itself is another good reason to look at sage grouse as a focal species.
In order to thrive, sage grouse require a large amount of territory. That's where the Alberta Conservation Association and Nature Conservancy of Canada come in.
Sure, yeah. Our property down here, we have, almost 5,000 acres of land that we currently own down here. A lot of that, almost 2,000 acres, are going to be converted or have been converted back to native grassland, so marginal cropland to native grassland. And that provides a wealth of benefit to a variety of species at risk, a variety of game species, by getting those croplands turned back into native prairie habitat. For other species like mule deer and sharp-tailed grouse, this one alone, this place that we're on right now, we've seen a flock of 140 sharp-tailed grouse back when we first started restoring it. So it's amazing what habitat and the number and diversity of wildlife that you can find out here.
The Calgary Zoo was releasing their sage grouse out here, so they were captive bred sage grouse, and they put up acclimation pens out here, and it was a major factor in buying this piece of property, so we could be a part of that process and collaborate with them. And it's a really good program, and it's a worthwhile one, I think. And they're also releasing them in Grasslands National Park, but when they started putting the pens up here, we would come out and help them with release, and it was just a very great partnership. And so I think that it's been something that's very well received within the community even.
The collaboration between federal and provincial agencies, landowners, industry, and conservation groups is significant. Through this effort, perhaps we can ensure that the sage grouse and other endangered species have a chance to thrive once more.